Well, I believe a change agent is someone who is willing, on a certain degree, to allow for some chaos to happen. I don't think change occurs in a nice, orderly manner. And in a very real sense, I think we are in the middle of that kind of change. I think the chaos that we're feeling, not just in our profession, but also culturally, the kind of upheavals that are happening, the ways in which we are struggling to define who we are and what it is we do in the world, are symptoms of that change happening. And a change agent can be a person who generates some of that discomfort, generates some of that kind of things need to happen here. Can also be a person who's willing to hold kind of the line when it's happening and say, I know chaos is happening here, but this isn't a bad thing. This isn't the end of the world. This is just the change that we have to go through in order for us to pop through to the other side. So we better be willing to just kind of anchor ourselves down and not go flying off like the world is ending and the sky's falling and everything's a mess, and nobody is really saying, well, you know, that's the moment of opportunity. My own path has been one of learning to be comfortable with not knowing, you know, and to see the place where I sit that I just don't know what's next, not as being a failure or this thing that has to be filled in right now and I should know and I ought to know and I need to know, but as this place where I say, this is where we've got all these possibilities because we don't know yet. Once we know, we have to trust ourselves to do the next thing. And so I think as a change agent, you're also willing to not know what's unraveling, what's happening. You're willing to just hold that place and say, we got a lot of possibilities here. And the moment the possibility that is optimum for us, what one of my teachers would have called maximum efficiency with minimum effort appears, that's the moment then you know what to do and you do it. You know, that's when you can't afford to sit back and kind of wait for the dust to settle. You really have to move forward. So I see that kind of energetically as the model for a change agent. Practically speaking, I think that I can, from the position that I'm in right now, speak to what I think of as the spirit of the law, the capacity of law to be anchored in something more than just the mechanism of resolving conflict, that it becomes this larger piece of the vision of a community that can function in a way that allows each person to experience themselves as valuable and equal and fairly treated and having a voice that matters and being able to trust the community that they live in. You know, public trust is a huge word in, you know, kind of bar association language, and it's a huge word in the work that I did with the gender and race ethnic issues. You know, public trust and confidence is this kind of bedrock foundation of why we get to do what we do. It's why I got to take people's children away from them, because somebody had the trust and confidence to say, this system is designed to protect these children. So if we're going to forget that, if we're going to kind of move ourselves into this kind of mechanistic way of being lawyers in the world, and forget that the only power we have comes from the power that we're entrusted with, and the confidence that the people we serve actually have in the system as a whole. Now, if we can't hang on to that, then the whole underlying underpinning gets lost. And my biggest concern is we're not just talking about public losing trust and confidence in the system, but I talk to too many lawyers who have lost trust and confidence in the system. I talk to too many lawyers who don't believe that the profession is serving them even in that respect. And that, I think, is the place where I would see my role as a change agent being there, because that's not the whole picture, and it's also significantly important that where we're losing that we remember who we are. And I think we have to remember who we are. I think we have to remember the foundation of what it means to be a lawyer. And it's a good one. It's not something that we should be ashamed of. The foundation of what it means to be a lawyer for me is wrapped up in this idea of service to the community and the establishment of a set of principles that allow us to create right relationship with each other. And that right relationship is not about power or resources or even the ability that we have to kind of manage our difficulties. I think the foundation of being a lawyer is held in the constitutional principles that this country was built on. I think they are an amazingly powerful vision, and I believe that the people who brought that to us were operating not from a mechanistic intellectual structure. I believe they were operating from a magnificent spiritual knowing. And that the idea that law lives as a living document and can expand and contain, potentially expand and contain the workings of this amazingly complex society that we have is really profound. And the Bill of Rights and the things that we have espoused as kind of this grand experiment that we call the United States of America is really a deeply grand spiritual experience. The idea of how do we manage the one and the many? How do we protect the one and serve the many? How do we bring those two concepts into right relationship in a society and a culture as complicated as the one we have? Whether or not we succeed at it, I think we're still in the question of that. But every conflict that I see and every way in which we're being challenged brings us back to those ideas. And as lawyers, we're the guardians of those principles. We're not just mechanistic sort of tinkerers out here. We have, I think, a higher calling. And if we don't claim it for ourselves, nobody's going to give it to us. I think the worst thing that has happened in our culture is the willingness of lawyers to allow themselves to be diminished and to accede to that diminishment, to actually believe it's true and to let it happen. And to be embarrassed by our profession, to on some level apologize for it. And we can apologize for the ways it's gotten lost, we can bring it back. I would never apologize for this profession. I think there's an enormous amount of good that it does in the world and can do in the world, and it's needed. So we just have to live up to that. Now, we may not be living up to it, but it doesn't mean it's lost its its juice. It's in there. At least I believe that.